in sentences and full paragraphs. Sometimes I can remember how to spell a large word. I don't know what letters are in it, but sometimes I get confused to which order they go in. But once I've wrote it down 2 or 3 times, I usually have a good grasp of spelling and what it means. I've always, even when I got shot, I was pretty much able to comprehend things that were told to me. Very often I would forget things, like I'd be taking a shower and I'd get out of the shower and time to dry off and start watching TV, and my girlfriend would come home and find the shower was still running, or that made me very angry because I didn't have a complete control of my memory or cognitive processes. But I realized that was just because I got shot. And every day that I'm getting sharper and sharper, and I can joke around with most people. Sometimes they will be speaking about things that I knew about before, and they would have to tell me a little more about the subject matter, but eventually it will come back to me, but it might take a week or so, and it'll pop into my head like, oh yeah, I remember what he was talking about now, I feel so dumb. But every day and every week that goes by, it happens less and less. It's just really amazing that what a little therapy and determination can do for you. Because I remember when I first got shot, I couldn't say one word. The only word I could say was no, and I couldn't even say that very well. I remember the first time I tried to say the word schedule. It took me 3 days to learn how to say it, and I still couldn't say it. I learned about 20%. Correct 20% of the time. But I was such a state of shock and delirium that I didn't really notice that I was saying it wrong so many times. But now I'm acutely aware of my speech, and it makes me very timid in some situations, but sometimes I just say, I can't help it, and I just have to live my life and get on with it. Because I know the harder I work, the more I do, the better I'm going to get. And even if somebody doesn't like it, and when people ask me if there's something wrong with me, the only thing I can think to say is, you'd be like this if you got shot too. It's just a miracle that I'm here.
It really is. Do you remember much about when you were first in the hospital?
I remember periods, but they're still it's like I'm fade in and fade out. I remember more after I had my operation, before they put me on Haldol. But I don't remember very much. I remember when people tell me I did things, sometimes I'll remember it and sometimes I won't. Like I remember I don't remember when I kicked my girlfriend, but I remember when I hit my mom and I kicked my dad. I remember when my dad and my stepmother came to see me, and I thought I was going to die. And I held her hand, even though I hated her guts. I didn't want my dad to feel bad that I hated her. And I just being really afraid I was going to die. That would be it.
It's been very scary for you. I was thinking about that. Do you remember why they put you on Haldol?
I remember, I think they were afraid that I was going to injure myself because I was going to leave. Because I knew where I was at, and I knew what had happened to me. And the only thing I could think of was that I wanted to get back the guy who shot me. I knew I was going to go in to hurt him. And I think that's the only reason they put me on Haldol, because I was so angry they didn't know what to do with me.
Right. I think you were pretty combative. And I think there was a nurse maybe too who got in the way. some point.
I had polydose hallucinations.
Well, do you think you were really in control of what you were doing then?
I had enough cognitive. I had enough ability to know how to do it, but I didn't have higher levels of cognitive processing, which I do have now somewhat, but it's not all the way back yet. And it probably won't be back for another year, fully back. But I found that now I have impulse control problems because sometimes I get mad and I break things. I found that I act like I'm about 15 years old now, and it really makes me mad that I can't grow up psychologically faster than I am right now.
What were you like when you were 15?
I used to be very combative. I had ADDH and was on Ritalin for several years, and then I guess I was in 5th grade. My parents put me on the fine-gold diet, and then most of those problems disappeared with the fine-gold diet. But I still had a lack of self-control because of my anger. I think that's some type of later development from the ADDH. Many people call it minimal brain dysfunction or maturity lag, but maybe it is. I'm not sure. I know I'm very intelligent, but I seem to have trouble establishing a program that I can stick to dealing with the stress that's created. The high level of stress that's been created by me not being able to express myself in a more constructive way. And I think that's maybe why that I was taken to Kino Hospital for 3 days, because I felt that there was no action being against the person who has seriously injured me for the rest of my life, because no matter what he says or do, this experience is going to have impact on the rest of my life, on me for the rest of my life, no matter what I do. Now I know that when I first got to the hospital, I partied pretty hard. I smoked a lot of pot and drank a lot of beer. And I found out that it just it kept me from getting better faster. It was a lot different. It's a lot more difficult to deal with your problems. It's a lot harder for you to deal with your problems, especially head injuries, if you're going to use alcohol or drugs.
How about your friends?
I had 86 most of my toxic friends, but
Your toxic friends.
that's what they are, because I can't hang out with them. It makes me feel bad, and they think that I don't care about what I do, but I can't let them dictate my behavior by me associating with them. I have to do what's good for me in the long run, because in the long run, I'm going to be the only one around to take care of myself.
How about your family? How are they handling all this? They were really involved at the beginning, but I don't know what happened over the long term.
My mom went back to her new husband, my stepdad, and I didn't really hear from her very much, but she made sure that I was taken care of. My ex-girlfriend, she really did help me out a lot. Finally, when I was living with her and partying and everything, she told me I had to get out, so I did get out. I think she did that because she wanted me to know that I could take care of myself, and she knew I was really afraid that I wouldn't be able to take care of myself, but I can. I owe a lot to her. But my dad, me and my dad have, my dad is very religious. He says that God had his hand on me. I believe that's true, but to him, the only reason I'm alive is because of God. I don't think he credits modern science and technology very much.
Or you?
Yes, it would. I'm not gonna say it wasn't God, but I'm not gonna say that it was 100% God. I think it was about 80% science and technology, because if we didn't make the leaps forward in medical research we have in the last 30 years, 20 years probably, I'd be dead. If it hadn't been for the MRI, I'd be dead.
But also your own determination.
I knew.
You have to give yourself a lot of credit.
I didn't want to die. I was really afraid of dying because it made me realize that I'd been wasting my life going out to parties and just hanging out, going to the beach. I've really just been taking it easy since I got out of the Army. Well, even before that. But it's made me face a lot of problems I had before, and now I have to deal with them now. And it's a lot harder to use alcohol and drugs and to deal with your problems head on. It makes me mad sometimes. It makes me mad to watch what the American industry does to kids and young adults with their ad campaigns and movies like Party Animal or whatever. It's very depressing and disillusioning. I think there should be laws against that, but this is America.
Right.
Proud and free.
Well, that's what I mean about the buck stops here, I guess. So if you speak with your spending money, then maybe that stuff wouldn't get made, but there's always people who are going to pay for it.
It's true. Now, my dad and me, I think my dad is my relationship after this accident, it made me realize a lot of things that I've been doing wrong and how I had neglected and ignored my family for like 5 years, 7 years. I mean, the first time I had talked to my dad since was when I got shot. I hadn't talked to my dad in over a year. I didn't care. Now it's really important to me that me and him gone on such different paths that I want to know why he did certain things that I never cared about because it didn't involve me. Now they make me very mad. Me and him had a fight the other day because I decided I wanted my sister to come live with me because he wouldn't send her to school. So I went and got my sister, paid off a car, and tried to save my dad, and tried to give my dad the money that my sister owed my dad. He started hollering. That's my main problem right now, is I'm a holler. I holler a lot, but I guess it's better than breaking things, even though I still slam a door. I haven't broken anything in about 2 weeks now, so I guess I'm doing pretty good right now.
Seems like you have a lot of perspective on, sort of where you have trouble and what you need to do about it. That's really exceptional.
My dad, when I had my fight with my dad in California, he showed me a lot of insight to the way I am, mainly because of the influence he had on me, and I'm trying very hard not to be like him by manipulating people and stuff like that, because I don't want to do to him what he did to my family. So like getting shot, I'm kind of glad I got shot now. It sounds have the full range of my body and my mind, basically, even though I can't speak 100% correct, but I think in the next year or 2 years, not too many people will be able to tell that I ever had any type of neuro problem or injury.
I bet probably now most people wouldn't even notice.
The only thing residual effect of me getting shot physically is my speed, and I have somewhat limited feeling in my fingers. But I had my neurosurgeon. If the blood vessel he had to close off, if the part of my brain that I think died was the part of the brain that can control the feelings in the ends of my fingers. And he said he didn't know. It just shows how little we really do know about the brain, even though they know that certain areas control certain types of the brain. They don't know. They still can't define why the mind rewires itself. Why? When I first got shot, I had no feeling from here down when I go to the hospital after 21 days, after 29 days. I was in ICU for 9 days, and they told me that they didn't know if I would ever be normal. And then after the 12th day, after 9 days, they took me down to the 4th floor for a recovery. And then about 19 days after I got, about 18 days, they put the bone flap back in my head. And then 2 days later sent me over to St. Joe's, and when I left the hospital, I still couldn't walk very well. I had a definite gait to my walk.
Do you think that you had enough rehab as an inpatient? Were you ready to go?
I was ready to go, but I'm very impatient because of my ADDH, I think. When I first got to the hospital, the first thing I did every day, all day long, I would walk around and touch things, try to get some feeling back in my arm, because I knew my balance and my coordination was not 100% back. But I just knew I had to work really hard to get back. I had to work really hard to get my feeling back in my right side of my body. And even my coordination on the left side was so far gone, I had to learn how to do that. Get to the hospital. I remember I guess I wanted to prove to myself how tough I was, but it's not a question of how tough I was. It's just a matter of luck and the angle of the bullet went to my cranium. I thank everyone who helped me in the hospital, even though I know when I first got out of the hospital, I didn't want to go to my rehab because I thought I could do it by myself. I don't want to do it by myself. I thought that would make me tough, but it's not a question of how tough you are and how smart you are. Everyone needs to get help sometime. Having a head injury is no joke. And I'm still learning to deal with my injury right now. Because there are some things that I'll never do again. I'll never go bungee cord jumping. I'll never own a motorcycle.
That's probably a good thing.
I'll never ride on a motorcycle again.
Uh-uh.
I always wear my seat belt. I've been in about 5 or 6 car wrecks, bad wrecks, so I never got an injury. Now I have a full roll cage, an 8-point seat belt suspension. There's no way I'm gonna take any chances with my skull. As you can see,
you have a nice decorative haircut.
The 357 mag from slug went in here and came out here. I had to come from here all the way around. Just a real miracle that I'm even here. Never mind that I'm just here at all. know that I have a long way to go, but I'm pretty much on that road. It's just a matter of how far I'm going to go.
That's great. Do you want to say anything else?
Thank you.